Okay, and you're from what publication, sir?
So I'm from the Santa Monica Corsair. I'm a student journalist.
Okay, nice to meet you. I'm Stan Becker. I'm a former journalist and staff news reporter.
So Stan?
Yeah, I'm Stan Becker.
Becker, B-E.
C-K-E-R, Stan Becker Songs YouTube, and Venice Community Housing YouTube, where I talk about these local political issues. I'm very concerned about it. The reservoir cover was torn and reported torn on the Pacific Palisades a full year before the fires. So I'm very concerned about that. As Tracy Park covered that up with hundreds of photo ops with our local fire people, never once mentioning that. And she went to Tokyo and Paris with Karen Bass, Cuba, Ghana, never mentioned anything. One full year. All the DWP trucks were in Venice, taking care of the hotel, the Poverty Pimp hotels that are sinking because the water level's higher than the basement. They won't go into any of this. They have Venice Neighborhood Council President, racist poverty pimp Brian Averill as a speaker here. That's an insult to this community.
Can you record for me? Can you say that one more time? The entire thing from what you said about...
Okay, well, the torn reservoir cover on the top of the Pacific Palisades, San Ynez Reservoir, there was no water pressure. The reservoir was virtually dry. There was a torn cover on that reservoir report. January 1st, 2024. The fires didn't happen until January 3rd, 2025. In the meantime, Tracy Park, the Venice Canals, my friend Mary was raped, another woman was killed. She does damage control instead of getting to the issues and informing the public. And that's what's happening here. You know, that's what's happening here. They're not getting down to causes and conditions. This was preventable. They could have had fire trucks in the Palisades ready and water ready. The winds were, the weather report told us they were coming. She went to Ghana and Tracy Park played dumb. Now Brian Averill, the Venice Neighborhood Council, who shut me up and wouldn't let me talk about Carl Lambert, and I'm 74-year-old non-criminal. I paid rent in Santa Monica for 16 years before I was evicted. I paid rent in Venice before I was evicted. I'm 74-year-old, homeless, non-criminal. Brian Averill and all these Venice Neighborhood Council criminals are going to show up as heroes like they're concerned. I hope you can cover some of this. I know you might even get in trouble for covering it.
I'll be fine.
But Santa Monica High School graduated Stephen Miller, who President Trump counts on every single day, you know? And that kid stood up. He was the only kid talking sense and common sense since he's a teenager. And he was born in Santa Monica Hospital while I was press director for Rhino Records, a small indie. It's now the Warner Brothers Archive, premier archival record label in the world. I'm Stan Becker. Stan Becker Songs YouTube. The characters in my songs talk about this, and I get beaten, battered, and blacklisted and bloodied up for those songs. Stan Becker Songs YouTube. Good God Almighty. Buffalo to Venice Beach, followed by Mean and Restless, building back a better new normal. We're trying to educate the public. I have 1 million views on 2 channels, and I'm unsigned and living in a car and broke. Stan Becker, thank you for asking, young man. S-T-A-N, short for Stanley. Becker, B as in boy, E-C-K-E-R. Stan Becker Songs. My phone is 310-460-9991. I don't use fake names. I'm on Twitter, Truth Social, Facebook, totally blacklisted, restrained, shadow banned everywhere from the conservatives and the liberals.
You said that
I'm independent, unsigned, with 1 million views. People are listening. I come to an event in my own community. I was evicted by a racist DEI judge, Bobbi Tillmon, who is going to be under indictment soon, and so is Traci Park. She's the councilwoman for District 11, and she should be here. That's Pacific Palisades and Venice and Brentwood. The Spiegel Snapchat family sent Evan Spiegel to Market Street, Venice. That's the criminal hypergentrification that changed everything. Now we have all these rich vacuous kids supported by the Venice Neighborhood Council pedophile protection racket because there's real victims when billions. Now you look at LAist, Follow, and other newspapers now have found Felicia Adams Calum housing fraud. That's the woman who evicted me personally. That's the woman who sent violent enforcers to me from St. Joseph's Homeless Center.
You said that the reservoir cover was torn and
Yes, sir.
ruptured a year before.
And it was
the fire.
reported. The DWP, it's official reports. It was reported January 1st, 2024. Traci Park had hundreds of photo ops with the fire people. Now she says, well, everybody knew. Well, if she knew, she didn't say anything.
So what effects does the torn rupture have with the?
Well, there's no water pressure. When our brave firefighters risked their lives to get up there and save the people and the animals and the houses and the ecosystem, there was no water pressure. Rick Caruso had it because he had private firefighters and he didn't say anything. So the billionaires are pissed off at me because they're not looking so good. My back's to the wall. I got nothing to lose.
So what effects did the torn cover actually have on the fire?
Well, they couldn't. There was no water pressure. So, and also, Michael Schellenberger and other people have said that they should have been proactive and had the engines already in the Palisades with water when they got those weather reports. It was a complete failure, purposefully, arrogantly. Did you see Karen's face when she came back from Ghana? She looked mad because she had to answer a question. I've interviewed her senior staff like you trying to do a responsible job under pressure. And I respect you and love you, young journalists. And don't let the editors, bully you about it. Because none of my stuff is violent, and none of it is threatening, none of it is nudity on those songs, and they get removed anyway. So that's a indication.
Well, I guess this is the last question I want to ask you. Are there any other calls to action or any other things going on that you think we should be made aware of?
Well, yes, me, Stan Becker Songs YouTube, because if 1 million people are watching a homeless guy without promotion or a label or a manager or help that's been beaten and battered and lives in a car, that's something. So you look at those materials, because 350,000 people have looked at the Venice community housing site and over 700,000 on a few Stan Becker songs, the recent ones, with the characters dealing with this issue. I thought using art and music in response to violence was the adult, sane, caring thing to do in a community. Now I don't think that way anymore. I think these people have to be taken out, and I don't care how.
Okay, that's understandable.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Mr.
Thank
Becker.
you.
I really appreciate
Very
it.
nice. I don't mind, sir. Thank you very kindly. Do you mind if I see your tag just so I know who you are too?
No problem.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr.
Could
Becker.
you pronounce your name for me?
Cajal.
Cajal
Myrena.
Cajal Myrena. Very
Yes,
nice to meet you, journalist. Very proud of you. And you can see some of my journalism and news reporting on that Venice community housing in the short videos.
You said that you worked on a news
I've
board,
interviewed
right?
Ike Turner in Men's Colony State Prison, Jesse Jackson right at Santa Monica College when he was winning primaries. I'm 74. I've been around a long time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Becker.
Thank you very much. It's a
wonderful
pleasure
rest
to
of your
meet
day.
you, young man. I tell you, young guys like you give me so much inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Becker. We got to run that with you.
We'll see you guys. Me too. See if they'll let me talk for 30 seconds. All I'm going to do is mention what I mentioned to you. They don't want a voice to talk.
I'll let them know.
Yeah. They're having a party. They're having a death party. Venice Neighborhood Council death party. That's how they do it. You have to go back to the abusers if you want to report sexual assault, and then those women got targeted. And the sexual enforcer kept his job. Gary Stewart killed himself. Susan was terrorized like I've never seen anybody terrorized in my life, living on my floor. When she finally escaped, Daryl and Christopher moved in there. They're both dead. My floor. Janet, the other woman that was video stalked and sexually assaulted, was evicted without an attorney into a more hopeless homelessness for years on end. I don't know if she's still alive. Sidney Zamora kept his job. Steve Clare, enforcer. The Poverty Pimp Death Circle. Erica Moore, Venice Neighborhood Council Death Circle. Steve Clare, Esquire, Venice Community Housing Corporation. Hollywood Community Housing Corporation. Safe Place for Youth, Sexual Predators on Youth affiliate. Unimpeachably documented. And a dozen more nonprofits, NGO nonprofits, putting that racist, intentional violence, profitable violence, socially engineered violence during the lab rat lockdown when Carl Felon Lambert, who controls the Venice Neighborhood Council, Venice V Hotel, had his hotel illegally rehabbed by illegal aliens that hauled out rock and dirt. 100 years old, a lake beneath his Venice V Hotel building, and the Horizon Apartments building is buckling. So that's where all the DWP trucks were. And every time I tried to tell the Venice Neighborhood Council, before the fires and the dozens of deaths, I got shut out and shut down and threatened and intimidated by Averill. I'd kick his fucking ass just for fun, and I'm 74. And Jim Robb, and Sean Rape Silva. And they call the hotel clerk cops. Lead officer, Officer Contreras, where is she? Kristen Delory, lead officer. She sued the LAPD after felon Carl Lambert put her up in a suite in the Venice V Hotel. While another Venice Neighborhood Council, Steve Clare, Becky Dennison, Felicia Adams Calum, West Side Coalition, Venice Neighborhood Council, bunch of projects went through. Now they say Becky's leaving Horizon Apartments, but she's on the lease. And those people are dead. Non-government. Sure. And they know my medical history.